All right. Good morning, everybody. Uh, this is a test live stream right now. Not sure that anybody is watching, but that's okay. No problemo. I'm just testing it out today. I think I've been really busy these days. Yeah, I gave her some cookies. Yeah. So I've been very busy these days, as I was saying. And I decided I might have a go as opposed to making videos as frequently as I was, um, actually doing a little bit of live streaming as well. Because live streaming, obviously, I don't need to do any real preparation for. I can just kind of turn everything on and get going. So I don't know how this is going to sound at the moment. My wife is going crazy out in the other room talking to the cat, so I might close the door. She does tend to get a little loud, but we'll see. So yeah, that's the idea today, is to just do a little chatting, see if anybody comes in, and answer some questions, talk about stuff going on in China in general. The job is going well, so if anybody has questions about the job, if there is anybody watching right now, I'd love to hear from you in the chat to know that if you can hear the microphone okay. Obviously, this is the first stream, so I won't really know until I actually listen to the rebroadcast. But yeah, throw me a thumbs up, say hi, don't be shy. Sitting here in my little room. Yeah, thinking about what I'm going to do today. Today, it is still early here. It's only 10:16 a.m. I've got my coffee going on. My neighborhood is incredibly noisy today, as it is most days. Hello, viewers. I see there's a couple of people popping in and out. It's quite noisy here in general, just because this is a factory area. This is a factory area in Shenzhen. This is not a modern district with fancy subways and shopping centers and movie theaters and bowling alleys and things of that nature. This is a factory area. Aside from the few big buildings directly adjacent to me, everything around me is all factories, absolutely everything. So there's not a lot going on. There's a beautiful park across the street. You may have seen my videos about that. But otherwise, yeah, when you go walking through the neighborhood, there are a few little restaurants, a few little convenience stores, things like that, small grocery stores. But for the most part, it's all industrial. It's all industrial areas, so there's not a lot to see or do, which is fine. I lived in a much more beautiful neighborhood before, but it was so far away from here that realistically, commuting would have taken literally, and I'm saying literally, a minimum of 1 hour. And if it was raining at all or any kind of bad weather whatsoever, that would increase up to 2 hours in each direction very, very easily. In fact, some days, even here, last night, for example, coming home from work, I take Didi, which is the Chinese version of Uber, which is very convenient, very inexpensive. Typically, I can get to work in the morning for $4 Canadian. And if I'm lucky and get out of the office on time before the big rush and get into a car right away, and the traffic isn't too bad, I can get home for about 5 or 6. But then there are days like yesterday where it was the day before the only day off this week, The way Chinese holidays work here is the government will extend the holiday period beyond the actual holiday itself to give people more of a chance to travel and rest. However, then they have to do what's called makeup days. So you typically will work 1 or 2 days on the weekends before the holiday, and then 1 or 2 days on the weekends after the holiday to make up those days. So yesterday was Saturday, which was typically my day off. So that was a work day for most people, including me. So the taxi ride home, which normally in the morning takes 10 to 15 minutes, no problem, took an hour and 40 minutes. Luckily, we do have the option here to choose the type of Uber we're going to take or the type of Didi we're going to take. We can either take a fixed fare car that they call the Discount Express, but there will typically be less drivers operating the Discount Express cars, so you might have to wait longer. But the fare is fixed. So if the fare says 20 renminbi, it's going to be 20 renminbi no matter how long it takes, no matter how bad the traffic is, things of that nature. However, at busier times or during a rainstorm or things of that nature, you might have to wait 10, 20, or even 30 minutes to get a Discount Express. But on the other hand, if you opt for one of the faster options that actually operate on a fare, a meter type of situation, you could end up spending 30, 40, 50, even 60 renminbi as opposed to the 20 if you were willing to be patient and wait for the Discount Express. This guy here waits for the Discount Express. If it's a really crappy day and it's pouring rain and I don't want to wait outside that much longer, then I will sometimes also try for the Luxury Express, which is typically about twice the price. So instead of $4, it might be $8. But then you're picked up in a much more luxurious class of vehicle, which is pretty cool in itself. I mean, it's still $8 to get home compared to the same distance in a taxi or an Uber in Canada is ridiculously cheap. So I don't really mind it. Pardon me, a little bit of a hoarse throat this morning. I guess I need more coffee. Yeah, I do see that there are some people out there watching. 大家好. Nice to see you all this morning. Or I suppose if you happen to be over in North America, it would be Saturday evening, depending where you were, anywhere between 7 and 10 p.m. or possibly 11 p.m. Please let me know in the comments. Don't be shy, just say hi. But if you can hear me okay, if the microphone is working okay, I'd love to know. That would be fantastic. Like I said, this is my very first live stream in a long time. I'm just doing it through the YouTube interface, so I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go. Hey, Zhuge Liang, how are you? Thanks for joining. Can you hear me okay? And thank you for joining the chat. I'm feeling like a bit of a savage today. I haven't shaved all week, obviously. Fortunately, in my job, I'm not in a customer-facing position, so I don't need to dress in any certain way. I can wear whatever I want. I don't have to be clean-shaven. I also have the very, very distinct advantage of not being on the clock like the engineers and people that I work with are. So if I want to take a day off here and there, I can just put in an application to my boss and he signs it immediately. So I have a lot of freedom. I can travel. I can pop off to different places for a day or two. It's really, really just so cheap and convenient. For example, when the noise gets too much around here, or if for whatever reason there's something going on in the house here and I have to work the next day, I found a really, really nice little hotel directly across the street. So if I have friends or guests coming, or if I just want a night out, it's 100 renminbi, which would be about 20 Canadian dollars for a beautiful little hotel room directly across the street from where I live. So the next time a friend comes to visit, is in the neighborhood, doesn't feel like taking a taxi back home, etc., they can just pop across the street, get a nice little hotel room, and it's dirt cheap. That's one thing I really like about Shenzhen and China in general. I'm looking at possibly in the next 2 weeks, now that the holiday season is all over, taking a high-speed train trip to Changsha to check out the local delicacies there. Hey, WS, how you doing? Welcome. Nice to hear from somebody in Toronto. I haven't been in Toronto in a couple years. That was the last place I stayed before coming back to China, in fact. So, yeah, last place I stopped in Canada was Toronto. And I tell you, the hotel I stayed at in Toronto was terrible compared to the hotels here. I paid at least 500 renminbi for that hotel, and it wasn't great. It was right next to the airport. So, in those situations, the hotels don't need to be great because the with the airport right there, they're going to get people staying there no matter what. The place could be on fire and people would stay there just to be able to make their flights easier. But yeah, it's so much more convenient for traveling here in China. And with my job, like I said, I have a lot more freedom than a lot of the other staff do. So that's really fantastic. So I'm thinking of popping up to Changsha for a couple days, one weekend, taking the high-speed train. I do quite frequently pop across the border to Hong Kong. There's a really nice little Irish pub there that I like to go to. I don't drink, but the food is spectacular. Actual, authentic UK cuisine. I love it. And I have a friend in Hong Kong that I do enjoy hanging out with. So, yeah, real estate in Toronto is beyond ridiculous. Even renting. I mean, we rent this area. Keep in mind, is not ideal due to the fact that it is a factory town. It's in Bao'an district in Shenzhen, but we pay 800 Canadian dollars per month for 4 bedrooms, brand new apartment, never been lived in before, brand new air conditioners, brand new appliances, elevators. It's clean, it's quiet. Well, it's relatively quiet. They've just started road improvements out front, of course, but once those are done, it'll be quiet again. So yeah, 800. You're not going to find anything even close to this in Toronto for 800 a month. 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, huge living room, all tiled, all very well maintained. Good management company that keeps the outside areas, the fitness areas, the walking areas, things like that, all very clean. The hallways, things like that. The elevators work great. So I'm that's honestly the reason I'm back here. You know, I've decided I'm going to retire in China specifically because yeah, I want to live a little more comfortably. I could honestly live in China eventually on my Canadian pension. Now, the way they're talking, I might not even be able to receive that till I'm 70 anyway. So I'll end up working much longer. But yeah, even the pathetic little pension, by then maybe it'll be 1,500 Canadian dollars, maybe less, maybe 800, based on what I've been hearing. A person could live very simply here on that kind of money, but you couldn't even pay your rent and bills with that in Canada in a small tier 5 type of city or town. But yeah, 800 bucks will get you a shared house, maybe in Toronto, you know, where there's 5 or 6 other rooms and sharing a bathroom, sharing a kitchen, sharing a living room, stuff like that. Then you might be able to get something for 800, but I would bank on it myself. Yeah, things are going well here. The job is going well. I didn't plan on having a job. Honestly, I came back to China to retire and just make YouTube videos and have a go at that. Um, but China is just such a land of opportunities, right? That I didn't have to go looking for a job it literally came looking for me. And this is one job, and it's I gotta say it's a really easy job. I really, really, really enjoy this job. Um, the pay is equivalent to what I was making as a retail manager working 60 or 70 hours a week in London, Ontario, for one of Canada's biggest computer chains. Um, oh, Zhuge Liang, wrong. Not at all. I know that sounds terrible, but I don't miss my own people in my own country whatsoever. Not even a little bit. Uh, in Canada, the healthcare system is so poor. I need surgery. I'm just waiting right now to get in a little better shape to make the operation healthier and safer. But in Canada, I've been on a waiting list for 6 years for this surgery. In China, I can get it tomorrow, literally, very literally. Um, and the transportation is better and cheaper here. The cost of living is better and cheaper here. The parks and public facilities are better and more amazing here. So, no, I don't have family back in Canada anymore. The friends that I do have back in Canada were mostly coworkers because I literally spent 20 years, well, 15 years actually living in China. And during that time period, I lost contact with most of the people I knew back in Canada. So the only friends I really have back there now are my previous coworkers who I still talk to on Facebook and WeChat and other places anyway. So it's not like I'm leaving a lot behind. And there's so much here to explore in China that I don't really feel the need to uh, to go back to Canada anytime soon. Not at all. Not at all. I'm more interested in my wife and I are going to buy a home here in Shenzhen this year. The market is finally ready for that. And then my next goal is to buy myself a small little home in a more northern area of China, a more remote area, because I really, really, I love China, but I could do without the big cities. My wife still loves the big cities, and I understand they're amazing, technological wonders. It's really, really, truly fantastic here. But I myself am yearning for a smaller rural life, a house, not an apartment, not as many neighbors, not as many facilities. I want to have chickens running around. I want to have dogs and cats running around, maybe some goats. I want to get back to the land. I want to live in a very traditional Chinese way where the main kitchen is outdoors. A wood-fired kitchen would suit me just fine, like my mother-in-law's home. Um, I really, really enjoyed my visits there. I do have videos and pictures of that if you look through my feed. But yeah, I'm looking to get out of the city. I want to. I want a rural Chinese life. I want to talk to the old farmers and drink the homemade baijiu, and taste the delicious fresh food straight from the fields. You know, that's get eggs from my chickens every morning and have beautifully delicious fresh eggs. That's what I want. So that's my next goal. The first goal will be, of course, to buy the place here in Shenzhen, and then I will start working towards a more rural life somewhere else. And then I'll just swap back and forth between the two. In the summer, when it's ridiculously hot here and getting hotter every year in Shenzhen, I will go and stay in the northern house. And then in the winter, when it's cooler, I'll come back to Shenzhen to visit for a while. But honestly, the idea of hanging out with my chickens and my dogs and my cats is much more appealing at this point than going to fancy shopping centers and IMAX movie theaters and giant, super delicious restaurants. But that's just me. Just got back from London, Ontario. Wow, good thing you're back. I mean, I didn't mind London. London's not a bad little city. I managed the Memory Express in London, the computer shop there. If you're familiar with it, it's a decent chain. Um, the product prices are good, the customer service is good. So if you do need computer parts in London, Windsor, and possibly a few places in Toronto and some of the burbs, it's a decent place to go. But yeah, that's what I did. However, now my job is literally helping Chinese mechanical, computer, and new energy engineers communicate better with their counterparts in South Africa, London, Holland, Australia, places like that. So I'm kind of a go-between to help people. So basically, I get paid the same money to chat and talk with people all day. I do know. Oh no, Guilao 60 does not need my help to find a wife. I do know him. We have chatted before. I have not been to Nanning to visit him yet. I was going to go visit him. However, now he's taking a different path. He's traveling more. He's been going to the Philippines. He's been I'm live streaming right now. That would be the missus. Yeah, so he's decided, and rightly so, that he wants to spend the next few years seeing more of Asia and seeing more of China and things like that. So definitely I would love to go to Nanning and go visit him. It's actually, Nanning is very close to my wife's hometown as well, and there is a high-speed train that goes there. But yeah, we just haven't gotten together yet. And Guilao 60 is a good-looking guy for his age. I guarantee that if he wants a new wife, he will have a new wife just like that. So that's no problem. That's another. It's I don't know if it's appropriate to say or not, but it is a feature of Western men in China, is that women here are very attracted to foreigners in general, in the same way that foreign men and women back in Canada and America are attracted to men and women with accents, Russian men and women, or French men and women, Spanish men and women. Just being different from everybody else kind of puts you on a higher plateau. So yeah, Guilao 60 does not need my help. If he doesn't have a girlfriend already, I would be absolutely shocked, and that would be 100% his decision. Otherwise, women would be, especially as a YouTuber, women would be actively pursuing him. Yeah, so don't worry about Guilao. He's doing fine. Do you ever upload more webcams on Livecam and channel? Thank you for paying attention to the Livecam, Matt. I haven't been focusing on that for a while. I really, once this channel started growing and it finally hit the threshold that I could start I became a YouTube partner. I decided to really try to focus more on this, and I do miss it though. I really do miss it, and I really should. I really should spend some more time making some more live cam and video content, because as much as this content is fun, this content traveling around China is great. The live cam ant channel was always one of my favorites. I really do love live cams. So I now that you mention that, I think I will start doing that more. I do have an opportunity now, come to think of it, that I could start making. As some of you may know, in China, when you work for a Chinese company, lunch is typically 1.5 to 2 hours long. What people will typically do is lunch will start at noon, and everybody will rush out to either go to a restaurant or to pick up their order. They don't let the delivery guys into the buildings in most situations, in the business towers. So they have lockers down on the main floor. They'll go down to pick up their lunch, or they'll bring something back, or they'll have their own lunch that they brought, and they'll eat between 12 and 12:30. And then from 12:30 to 1:30, the lights go out, the entire office goes dark, and everybody sleeps. They pull out little folding beds, or they'll find little sofas, or just lean over in their chairs and they have a nap for an hour. And I don't sleep during that time period, so I will often either do Chinese lessons or watch YouTube videos. But you know what? That might be an excellent time to start pumping out some live cam ant content as well. Take that time to find some nice cams and then actually record the video while I'm sitting in the office. So you know what, Marco, thank you very much. That's a fantastic idea. I think I am going to start doing that as well. And plus, now that I have this channel as well, I can actually platform it, and maybe some of my viewers from this channel, from Sirant in China, will actually come over and check out the live cam channel too, because it is really cool. I love live cams. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Should I put the live cam back up here in Shenzhen? Uh, I had it up for a long time. It gets to be quite honest, a bit of a pain in the butt after a while. But I'm thinking of doing it again, because my neighborhood now is quite interesting. At nighttime, there's a very active little restaurant area out in front of my building. You can see it from my balcony, and all the tables are out on the street. Well, not on the street, but on the sidewalk. It's a very big sidewalk, and it's for all the factory workers and the people that work in this area. This is like their bar and entertainment scene. So at nighttime, it can actually get quite raucous out there until the wee hours. The other day, waking up for work, I get up at 6 a.m. There was still one table at one restaurant that was still eating and drinking at 6 a.m. They'd been there all night. And the way things work in China is there's no real legislation, or if there is, it's a gray area as far as people wanting to stay outside drinking all night. So as long as they're buying food and buying alcohol or buying whatever they're buying, the restaurant will stay open for them. So that those poor restaurant owners, they were open till 6 a.m. or later, because I was off to work by then, so I wasn't sure how much longer they stayed. But yeah, they had a really good night. So I used to have my live cam set up out there, and I suppose I could do that again. It just didn't seem to be getting too much attention, and I thought for the amount of difficulties, because it has to work through a VPN, obviously it has to maintain its live status. I haven't figured out yet how to have that running through a service. And if I did have it running through a professional service, I wouldn't necessarily need the VPN anymore, but it would cost a monthly fee. So it would have to be worthwhile in some degree. But I don't know. Let me know what you think, if I should get the good old live cam back up and running. Pardon me, just muted the microphone there so I didn't cough in your faces. Trying to be polite. But yeah, live cam ant. I really should. I miss that. So yeah, it's 10:42 a.m. today. Today at about 2, I'm doing something very nice. Something that a lot of my Canadian and American friends in the past would be so incredibly jealous of, and would probably love to do as well. And that is, I'm going to have a sauna today. A sauna is like a spa back in Canada. Back in the day, 10 years ago, I used to go to this beautiful place in the Futian district, or the Lohu district of Shenzhen, the business district at that time. And for 139 renminbi, which would be about $28, you would walk in, go to a locker, strip off all your clothes, and you'd wrap a towel around yourself, and you'd go into the first main sauna area, where there would be a giant regular temperature swimming type of pool. It wasn't very deep or anything, but it was enough that you could swim. They had these great big curved showers or shower nozzles, which were incredibly powerful, which when you stood under them was actually like a shoulder massage. It was so powerful. There were lots of jets to get into your back and legs and calves and even feet. And it's just a nice place to swim around in. Uh, and then you could pop over into one of the 4 other pools. One was screaming hot, like you could almost boil eggs in this one. The one next to it was just moderately hot. The one next to that was warm. And the one next to that was ice cold. Like we're talking ice cubes would not melt in this. You typically didn't stay in that pool for very long, but it was great. What I would do is I would go sit in the super hot, just melting pool for as long as I could take it, jump into the ice pool, and then go back and forth for a while, because a bodybuilder told me once that shocking your muscles like that, going from the hot into the cold and getting that massive tension was actually similar to um, an isometric workout, in that every muscle in your body when you hit that water, from your nostrils down to your toes, goes right. And it also, when you would get back out again, go back into the hot water, it would loosen them back up again, and it would just relax your entire body. But it even got better than that, because then if you weren't into the pools, you could go into the room that was, well, there was the steam room, very nice hot steam room. There was the dry sauna. And then there was the ice room, which literally had this giant round brick of ice. You 4 people would need to put their arms out hand to hand to be able to reach around this thing. So when you got too hot in one of the other pools or saunas or something, but you didn't feel like jumping into that horrendously cold ice pool, you could go in there and just sit with the ice cube until you cooled down. On top of that, you could get body scrubbing, where I was never a big fan of this. They would take a towel, a rough towel, and basically scrub every inch of your body to remove the dead skin. Um, uh, my wife really, really likes this. I've never been a big fan of it, especially considering that they literally rub every inch of your body. Think about that for a second. Yeah, it was a bit much for me. And then there would be also snacks and different soups and foods in the area, so you could have a little snack. You could order beer or coffee or sodas or anything you wanted delivered to the hot tub, delivered to the steam room, and those were all complimentary. And so yeah, it was a Roman emperor type of experience. And then once you were done with that, they'd give you a pair of basically pajamas, and you'd go into the second area of the spa. And in that area, they had massage facilities for all types of body massage, the foot massage chairs with TVs set up on them so you could watch TV, watch movies, things like that. There were 3 different styles of restaurants: a Sichuan restaurant, a Guangdong restaurant, a Guangxi restaurant. There was a movie theater. There were pool tables. There was a bar. There were ping pong tables. Basically, it was a not a health club, but a country club on the other side. And whereas the men were segregated in the hot tub area, because obviously everybody was naked, you just had a towel, there was a women's side. And then in that common area, men and women, families could come together and eat meals and do other types of things. So it was really, really a luxurious type of place to go hang out. I went there once a week. Every Friday after work, I would go there. And like I said, it was $28. On top of that, should you decide that you're too relaxed, you couldn't possibly drive home, or maybe you've had a little too many beers while you were in the hot tub, no problem. Also included in that price, in the evening, you can take over one of the massage rooms and sleep there till morning, completely for free. It's part of the package. So 28 Canadian dollars gets you a hotel room, a Roman emperor type experience in the spa, the health spa. And then when you're done, you'd go back, you'd have a shower, clean it, take off the pajamas, put back on your own street clothes. And while you were doing that, they had attendants in there who would also be shining your shoes and polishing your shoes before you left. There was no tipping expected. China's not a tipping culture. So this is the service you got for 28 bucks. Unbelievable. Now, the sauna that I'm going to go to this afternoon, being that it is in this factory type of neighborhood, is not quite as fancy, is much older, and the facilities are substantially smaller. But they still have a steam room, they still have a dry sauna, they have an ice pool, they have a hot tub, and then they have a regular pool for the men. So all those services are there. Then when you are either before or after your sauna, you can go upstairs where they have the foot massage. They have pool tables, billiard tables, 2 great big huge snooker tables. They have beverages, coffee, beer, soda, things like that. Again, all complimentary. And you can get a foot massage in the general area. Or you can go upstairs once again. And then they have the body massage areas where you can have an oil massage, or you can have a horrific but good Chinese traditional massage. I had one of those this week at a different location where I tried the gua sha. I doubt you can see it anymore, but gua sha, yeah, it's all fixed. They take a scraping device and scrape your skin to improve the circulation. It's incredibly intense, almost painful, but the benefits are great. So it has all of those features like the bigger, fancier spa. And then after 6 p.m., they have a noodle bar set up where you can go have different types of noodles and things like that. Again, this is all included in the price. And the price is 69 renminbi. So 69 renminbi these days would be about 14 bucks. Yeah, 14 bucks. So for 14 bucks this afternoon, I'm going to go and soak. If I want to get a full body massage for 1 hour, it will be about another 20 bucks. Maybe $20, $25, depending on the type of massage, depending on the length. So all told, I'll be having an hour to 2 hour massage, the sauna, the pools, the hot tubs, the steam room, noodles, beverages, and just a really comfortable place to relax and chill out for under 50 bucks. Under 50 bucks, probably well under 50 bucks, honestly. So that's my plan for this Sunday afternoon. I only have 1 day off this week, so I figure I'll go and live it up and feel nice today. But yeah, this is another reason when people say, "Oh, don't you miss your own people and country?" No, not really. There's no way in hell that even if I could find service like that in Canada, it would be hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I mean, just even a simple 1 hour massage is over $100 in Canada for a therapeutic massage. I've never seen or found those type of spa facilities before, so I wouldn't know where to start, to be honest. But I'm curious. I'm going to take a little peek over here at my live cam and channel just to see how things are going over here, because it has been a while since I've visited the good old live cam ant. Yeah, she's still struggling along. 159 subscribers, so we're still pretty low in the subscribers. But yeah, the people have been watching the videos, and I think it's time to give it a little love to get live cam ant back on track. I don't know if there'd be enough viewers on Sirant, or people here that would be interested in seeing that, or if they'd be more interested just in seeing the China content. Oh, 75 bucks Canadian? Not even close, man. Not even close. I had a massage while I was back in Canada in 2017 before everything went tits up with COVID. And it was 150 bucks just for a 1 hour massage. The 1 hour massage that I'm looking at getting today is 139 renminbi. So, 24 bucks, 20, what would that be? That would be 25 bucks, let's say. And that's for a 1 hour massage. And then the sauna on top of that would be another 20. Or not even 15 bucks. So there's no comparison to what it would be in Canada for that type of service and that type of luxury. No way. Craziness. I wouldn't even know where to look for that in Canada. Absolutely, I agree with you about learning and speaking fluent Mandarin. I have been very dedicated these days. 现在我的普通话我觉得是不太好，可是我每天都学习，越来越好。Basically, what I just said, for those of you that don't speak Mandarin, is I do study Mandarin on a regular basis, and whereas I don't think my Mandarin is very good, my Mandarin is more than good enough to travel, to do things, to live comfortably in China, which is unlike many foreigners here. And I am also learning to read. I do have a Chinese driver's license, so I do drive in China, so it is important to be able to read. I know how to read all the traffic signs and all the important things I need to in that regard. But yes, I'm leading a very dedicated life these days. My work starts at 8:30, but my first actual session or meeting doesn't start until typically 9:20 or 9:30. However, I get to work at 7:15. I leave my house at 7 o'clock every day. There's two reasons for this. One is that the taxis are so much cheaper then because there's no traffic yet. I get to work in 15 minutes. So I leave my house at 7 o'clock. I get to work at 7:15. It's fantastic. If I leave my house at 7:30, then I will get to work at 8:30, and it will cost me double or triple the fee to get there. So I wake up at 6 a.m. so that I can be at work at 7:15. Once I get to work, I go get myself a coffee. I do a little bit of exercise now that it's cooling down outside before the day starts, and I do Chinese lessons while I'm sitting in my office. This is very important to me. I do have another potential opportunity coming up in the future, which would be in a different city. It would be for substantially more money, a much, much better opportunity. It would be a high-level management position. And in that situation, I would actually take the time and pay the fee to have a professional tutor, a teacher, sit with me every day for 1 to 2 hours to get my Chinese up much, much faster. But I am studying on a daily basis. If you look right over here, those are my my books for the HSK, the Hang Sheng Index testing. It's like the IELTS or TOEFL tests for Chinese. I do study those on a regular basis as well. And those are all reading and writing as well. Once the first series is finished, there's no more English in the books, there's no more pinyin in the books, they're just Chinese characters. So I absolutely do practice and learn every day. And it's my coworkers are always so surprised. Like I went to a traditional Chinese massage place this week, and my coworkers were already surprised. They said, "But who did you go with?" I said, "Nobody. I went by myself." "But did they speak English there in the traditional massage place?" And I said, "No." "Well, how did you talk to them?" "In Chinese." That there are ways to get around this. I have this little device here, which is a fantastic little device. I bought it when I first came back. Um, it'll translate, it'll take pictures and translate menus or signs. You can upload a document into it. It'll translate the document. It does all sorts of things. It works online and offline. It'll translate, I think, 90 different countries. So for traveling, this is really cool. And basically, if I push this button on this side and then I speak English and let go, it will produce the Chinese correctly. And then when the person I'm talking to speaks back to me, I press the button on the other side. And then when I let go, it will speak back to me in English. So this is a very, very handy device that I never use, ever. I've already told a British buddy of mine who does not speak Chinese, who is considering coming back to China, that I will just give this to him because it I never actually use it. I purposefully choose not to use this. I do on my phone also have I use Baidu Translate. Let's get past the advertisement here. I don't have the paid version. Don't really need it. So I do have Baidu Translate, which again will do, I can take pictures with it or screenshots. I can speak into it. I can do the back and forth conversation. I can get AI to help. I never use it. I never take it out of my pocket. I strongly believe that the best way to learn a language is to immerse yourself in it. So when I go out in public, I might look at the dictionary first for key vocabulary items, like how to say my neck is stiff. 我脖子很僵硬. I might not have known that before, so I will use the dictionary to find out what neck and stiff are in Chinese, and then I'll just put it away and I'll just go in and I'll speak with the attendants and I'll talk to them. And I think that's a very, very good way to learn. So basically, if you dropped me into the middle of China without either of these devices, I would have no problem. I could eat, I could find somewhere to live, I could make friends, I could do everything I needed to in my daily life without having to rely on a machine, which is really, really good. And yes, you're absolutely right that being fluent in Mandarin and English is a massively important skill. My daughter, for example, she's fluent in both, and the reason for that is that she grew up in China with me, and I made a rule when she was very tiny, that in the house we only spoke English, nothing else, no Mandarin whatsoever. That way she was getting a constant English environment every single day. And then outside of the house, she went to the regular Chinese public schools. So she spoke Chinese every day with her teachers, her friends, with everybody in Chinese society. So now my daughter is 100% fluent in both. She actually has no Chinese accent whatsoever when she's speaking English. People just automatically assume that she's from Canada and ask her if she can speak Chinese, which of course she can. So when she was in China last year and she went to apply for jobs in international companies, of course she had offers thrown at her for much higher pay than would be the norm for that position. And the same is true in Canada as well. She's gone back to Canada to do her master's degree. So in Canada, it will be a huge advantage for her, even though the use of Chinese language is not as common in Canada as English is in China. It still will give her preferential treatment when it comes to getting a job and getting hired. It even worked for me. This is a true story. When I went back to Canada in 2015 to set up our home so my daughter could go to university there and the family would still be together, the first job I got was in sales and car sales, and I worked for Dodge. And I did quite well, but a friend of mine worked for BMW. And when he found out I was back and that I could speak Chinese, he told his manager. And his manager actually came to the Dodge dealership and spoke with me and said, being able to speak Mandarin is a huge advantage in this industry. Not a lot of Chinese people come in and buy Dodge and Jeep, but a lot of Chinese people come in and buy BMW. I think you should come to work at BMW. And I'd only been working for Dodge for a few months, so I said, no, that's not realistic. I've only been here a few months. I'd hate to tell my manager I was leaving after such a short period just to go to a competitive company, right? And he said, talk to your manager. So, of course, I said, well, you know what? I appreciate this. I will mention it to him. And so later on that day, I did go and sit down with my manager in his office, the general manager of the dealership. And I said, I've been approached by BMW. They think that it would be good for me to come and work for them. And he said, they're right. Your language skills absolutely will give you an advantage in that industry. And he gave me not only his permission, but his encouragement to go to BMW. He said it would be excellent for my career. He also told me that if I wasn't happy there for any reason, that my job would be waiting for me to come back to. But he actually allowed me and encouraged me to go to BMW, and it really did work out well. Every Chinese customer that came in would be directed to me specifically. And as soon as I started speaking in Chinese, my Chinese was actually much better back then because I had just come from being in China for 13 years straight and speaking Chinese every day. So my Chinese vocabulary was much higher. I hadn't forgotten as much. It just made those customers feel so much more comfortable. And it was much, much easier to sell cars to them. So I was quite successful in that. So yeah, absolutely. I tell even my Canadian friends who have young children that they should consider putting their children into Mandarin language programs when they start school instead of French. In Canada, of course, French is the second language, so a lot of people just automatically put their kids into French classes, as happened with me. But there's nowhere near the opportunities for a French and English speaking Canadian as there are for a Mandarin and English speaking Canadian, or any country really, because the eyes of the world are all turning towards China for business and for everything else. So it's a huge advantage. And I actually have a few friends who did that. They took my advice many years ago and put their kids into Chinese programs as little babies. And now in their teens, even though they're full Canadian white kids, they can actually speak very good Chinese. So I think those kids will also have a very huge advantage in the future. So absolutely. So yeah, I do. I study on a very regular basis. My goal is to become, if not fluent. Fluency in China is very difficult, especially in the written language. But I want to be. I want to speak excellent business Chinese and more casual Chinese as well. Being able to talk about more casual topics, things of that nature. Um, though, like with most Chinese people now, most Chinese people are not 100% fluent in their own language anyway. It's just so expansive when it comes to specific language, engineering, computers, medical, different technologies. But that's exactly the same in English as well. Half the people I know back in Canada, if I said, hey, can you pick out the co-processing unit from that pile of computer parts on the table, they wouldn't know. Or even if I said, go show me the CPU or the GPU, or the graphics processing unit, or show me a transistor, show me an oscillator, they wouldn't be able to do it because they just simply don't have that background, right? So full fluency, not really my goal. However, I'd like to get to HSK level 7. Though I do have the materials now to go up to level 8 and 9, which are brand new. They just came into existence a couple of years ago, maybe even less, maybe just a year ago. So that's the goal. And once I am more financially motivated to improve my Chinese faster, I do plan on having a professional teacher coming to me, coming to my business for 1 to 2 hours on a very regular, if not daily, 2 or 3 times a week at least basis to improve my Chinese, to be able to speak even more confidently and more fluently. Um, uh, it's a little bit strange for the French and the English, but not really. At the time when the uh, during colonization in North America, that's I guess a politically correct way of saying it. Um, the majority of the colonizers were French, English, and Spanish. Now the Spanish didn't get up to Canada like the English and the French did, and that's why Canada, the province of Quebec, is a French province. It isn't the You can speak English there, but it is frowned upon. You will be treated worse if you do. It is expected that you will speak French in that province. They are trying to this day, pass laws to make French mandatory. If you open a business, for example, in Quebec, and you have on your sign that, let's say it's Pete's Pizza, you've got to have Pete's Pizza in French bigger on your sign, and then a smaller version in English, no matter what. They want all public services, government services, schools, hospitals, things like that, to be French only. Um, However, if you can speak French and English fluently, then it is much easier to get a position in a government office or a government-run type of institution, even though in pretty much everywhere else in Canada other than Quebec, nobody speaks French. I mean, I studied French in school for 6 years and can't speak a word anymore because I never ever spoke it outside of school. Exactly the same situation here in China, where a lot of kids will study English from kindergarten or primary school right through to high school or even university. And then as soon as they get out of school and go into their chosen professions and they speak just Chinese every day for the next 10 years, the English just goes. Whew. The studying is there, the education is there. A lot of Chinese kids know grammar better than most English speakers do, but without using it for such a long period of time, it just goes away. My Chinese now is 100 times better than my French. I can say bonjour, comment ça va, and that's about it. There's a few vocabulary items I can talk about, but it's not so. I wouldn't consider myself capable of an actual conversation in French anymore. Yeah, government or call center for French. That's it. That's it. And even a call center outside of Quebec, probably not that important. If it's a government call center, maybe. And then again, you probably won't be using it much anyway. And yes, you're right about the dialects for sure. My mother-in-law does not speak Mandarin. She speaks her hometown dialect, and all the people in her village speak their hometown dialect. I can only say one thing in their hometown dialect, and that is Leho Nehekmada, which is Leho, most people will know, is Cantonese for ni hao, hello. But Nehekmada is the local version of Chifan Lameo. Have you eaten yet? Uh, it's that dialect is more of a combination of Cantonese, some Mandarin, and Vietnamese because of the proximity to Vietnam. So it is quite tricky. So yeah, it was quite funny last year for Spring Festival. My daughter and I were walking around in the hometown, and the older folks would come over and try to talk to us. Of course, I think I'm the first foreigner who's ever been in that village ever in history. So they were all very, very interested to come and see me and say hi. And they assumed that she could speak the hometown dialect as well, but she can't. She hadn't used that dialect since she was a baby, since she was a little tiny thing. So yeah, my Chinese daughter and I, even though she's fully fluent in Mandarin, neither of us could speak, but that didn't stop me from going around and talking to people, and they could understand me when I'd speak a little bit of Mandarin with them. So it was still a lot of fun. But yeah, the dialects can make it challenging. However, I still to this day have not met, other than in that village, a Chinese person who really had too much difficulty understanding what I needed or what I wanted. So I've basically been able to communicate no problem. Yes, you're absolutely right. Even from 20, uh, 2015 to 2022, that time that I was in Canada, even though being able to speak Chinese helped me to get jobs, even my last job as the retail manager, it really, really put me above the competition for getting that job. Um, yeah, not using it for so long. My Chinese now is much worse than it was when I was actually using it more frequently. My last job in China, I was an IELTS examiner. So I was traveling 25, 26 days a month, taking trains, planes, taxis all over China to administer the test. So I was having to talk to people in different provinces, taxi drivers, hotel employees, restaurant employees, just general people getting directions, things like that on a very, very regular basis. So I was actually very highly sought after, not by my employer, but by my coworkers because and colleagues, because they all knew that I could speak Chinese. So everybody wanted to be in the taxi with me so that they wouldn't have to be fumbling with their dictionaries trying to figure out how to tell the driver to take them to the right place. They could just sit back and say, "Oh, talk to that guy." I could do all the speaking for them. I could help them order food. That's actually how I became very, very good friends with a buddy of mine from England, who is in the process of coming back. He went back to England, and like myself, is not happy with the differences between the life in China and the West. So he also is coming back. But yeah, he and I spent a huge amount of time together. Flying, riding trains, taking taxis all over China, and just really not only getting to know the life in China, but getting to hang out and become best friends as well. So he's a really, really good guy. But yeah, unfortunately for him, he never put the effort into learning Chinese. So he's the one I'm going to give this to when he gets back. Here you go. This will cover you. You know, I still think that he should learn himself. And if he's watching this video, he knows who I'm talking about. But yeah, I think it is important to practice on a very daily basis, and I do. Like I said, this current job I'm in right now, I give my employer, who's also from England, a very hard time because I tell him that no other foreigner, Waiguaran, is going to take this job. The job itself is there's two locations. There's the factory, which we may be moving to, and then there's the office tower. But both are located in the Bao'an district, in a specifically factory village. There are no big fancy shopping centers, no subway stations. The public transportation is not great. There's no fancy restaurants or libraries or um, movie theaters, things like that, like I mentioned before. So a lot of foreigners would not feel comfortable here because you really do have to be able to rely on your Chinese to be able to do everything that you need to do to find what you need to do. For example, for my last video, I went for that beautiful bike ride at Shiyan Lake. But before, because I hadn't been riding for a while because of the constant rain, not only were my tires a little bit flat and spongy, but my chain had rusted. So without a specific bike shop anywhere nearby, I wasn't sure what I should do. But luckily, I was able to just go over to one of the nearby car repair shops, because there are a lot of car repair shops, and I was able to talk to the owner. Like, once again, no English at all, so I was able to talk to him in Chinese and uh, get him to help me to fill up the tires and oil the chain and basically get my bike back into proper operating condition. And that's something that the typical foreigner here, with their inability or even reluctance to learn Chinese, would have a hard time doing. But for me, it's fun. Like I said, I don't even use the translation tools on my phone. I go out there, and one of the most common things I will say to people is 中文怎么说, which means, how do you say this in Chinese? And then they will tell me how to say it in Chinese. And then I'll know how to say it in Chinese. So instead of going to a dictionary and I'm not even sure. I mean, I think it would be even more difficult, because is this an adapter? Is it an adapter plug? Is it a power adapter? You know, what is the proper Chinese term for this that the person that I'm talking to is going to understand? Whereas if I ask that person directly, 请问这个东西中文怎么说? Now, excuse me, in China, may I ask, in Chinese, how do you say this? He's going to tell me exactly what it means, or how to say it in a way that he understands, and then likely other people will understand, because it could be that the translation into Chinese is from power adapter, or just adapter, or electrical adapter, or electrical plug, travel plug. In English, there are so many different ways to describe this device. And I know all of those ways. So if the person didn't understand that I was looking for a travel plug, and I said a power plug, you know, in this particular case, this one is for Hong Kong and England. So I'd be able to communicate in English how to get this, but how would I do it in Chinese? Even just going to the dictionary would make it difficult. Oh, absolutely. That I've done that job before. I was actually hired specifically for that job to help Chinese factories to improve their instruction manuals specifically. But you got to keep in mind, there's millions of factories in China. I'm only one dude. It would take me forever to get around and help everybody. But yes, that is definitely right now. My job is specifically to help the key engineers and managers in our company to be able to communicate with the key marketing directors and sales directors in other parts of the world, because they require very specialized technical knowledge. It's one thing for the marketing manager to say, we need a new product. But it's another thing to say, we need an inverter that can handle 10 kilowatts on a sustained basis with a shutoff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Very technical electronics English, that whereas the marketing directors in the UK understand that English, the engineers in China probably don't. If you said it to them in Chinese, they would understand it perfectly, but they don't. That's not the typical kind of English that is taught in schools. So that's where I come in. I will deal more with the UK teams and the South African teams, etc., and then help the Chinese teams to make sure that they understand everything that's needed. That's one of the most interesting and unique aspects of this job, is that I'm not an English teacher in any way, shape, or form. I am actually a liaison between the two teams to ensure that they understand exactly what is necessary. So it's a really interesting job, and so on that aspect, I don't need to help with this company in particular, the instruction manuals and things like that, because that's all handled in the UK. I deal with the guys that actually put everything together, and I with the R&D team, the guys that actually create the products. But I have thought before, now that I am in this environment with all these factories around, that should for whatever reason I be looking for more work, or decide to leave this job and look for a different job, that's exactly what I would do. I would go door to door right in this neighborhood right here, from factory to factory, explain to the employers in Chinese the problems that every instruction manual has, every single one, you know, whether it's this one. Well, this one doesn't have any English at all. This is a Chinese health manual, but a lot of the electronics manuals, um, they just simply, they're not good enough. The English isn't good enough for the customers to be able to understand. They find it very, very difficult, and offer my services in that way to rewrite the technical manuals, because I do have a very technical background. So for me to learn about these products and then be able to change or recreate the instruction manuals so that foreigners could use them would not only be relatively easy, but it would be quite interesting, I think. So I have considered that before. So yeah, I've thought, I don't expect to lose this job in any way, shape, or form. My employers are very, very happy with what I've been doing. But you know, should in the future something like that come up, that's exactly what I would do. I would go from factory to factory right outside my window here and say, hey, what's your product? Wow, that's a really good product. Can I see the English instruction manual? And then when they showed it to me, I would point out to them that this is a mistake. This is terrible. Nobody's going to understand this. Let's work out a deal so that I can help you to produce proper high level English manuals, which is only going to help you sell your products. So that is something that I've definitely considered, absolutely, in the past. And I think there is a distinct need for it as well. And I have done that in the past for other companies. Typically on a one-on-one basis, I would meet somebody and they would say, oh, can you help at my company? And I'd say, sure. And we discuss a little compensation, and then away we go. That would be just a little contract gig, you know, to make a little bit of extra money. So yeah, kind of like this, kind of like the YouTube. YouTube is not, I don't see YouTube as making me rich anytime soon in the future, but it is interesting. It's a little bit of revenue. It's a little bit of income. So it I'm always keeping my eyes open. Like I said, I came here to retire in 2022. My plan was to simply come back to China. I'd made enough money that I could live very simply, which I do. I live very, very simply. I don't eat out in restaurants very often. I don't order food very often. I don't go to movie theaters. I don't go to expensive bars or anything like that. I don't drink, actually. So I lead a very simple life in that regard. Very, very low expense. So I came back to retire, to travel around, and to make YouTube videos sharing my experiences here in China. But there are just so many opportunities here, so many things changing, so many big things happening all the time, that the opportunities have come to find me. So it's quite exciting. Like I said, if this opportunity I'm in now is fantastic. It's a nice, easy job. Easy in the sense that I'm a computer engineer already, and I have a very deep understanding of the engineering process, of the manufacturing process. When I was younger, I worked in a tool and die shop. I used to make injection molds. I know the injection molding process, so I know a lot of the mechanical engineering as well. So when my coworkers will bring a diagram to the meeting, a technical diagram, showing all the connections between the inverters, the batteries, the photovoltaic cells, the different components used in these electrical new energy systems. A lot of typical English teachers are over their heads, but for me, it's like candy. It's very, very interesting. I love to look at it. I love to learn about it. So in the course of my daily work, not only am I helping these two teams to communicate, but I'm also learning about this incredibly exciting new technology, which I probably would have done on my own. You know what I mean? I would have gone out there and tried to find out this information anyway. So yeah, that's for me, that's an added bonus. And there's just so much of that type of business here in China. Like I said, I think I could honestly, I could walk outside tomorrow. Um, yeah, the factory, everything will be open again tomorrow, and just go from factory to factory to factory and say, "Hi, can I speak to the boss?" Lao ban zai ma, you know, and talk to the boss and say, oh, "So, what are your products? What do you sell?" And probably they would ask me, are you a salesperson?" And I would say, "No, I'm a technical guy, but wondering if you need help with improving the English quality of your manuals, your documentation. It would be very, very useful and profitable for your company to be able to do so." Many companies wouldn't be willing to invest in that. They would think, Chabador, good enough. But other companies might definitely see value in that. And if I could find a couple companies to take me on in that capacity, that could also expand into other opportunities as well. So yeah, there's nothing but opportunities here in China. Nothing but opportunities. So I look forward to yeah, I just look forward to my daily life here, to doing my best to making things happen. And so far so good. I'm very happy. But yes, I got some great ideas out of this live stream as well. Again, I do need to get my live cam ant channel back up and running. It's not monetized, it's not a partner or anything like that, but it is content I really, really enjoy. Uh, I may do a little cross promotion and promote the channel here. Um, oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Do it as a side hustle. Absolutely. Um, the past 2 weeks I've been thinking about it, but of course, at the beginning of October was the National Day holiday, so I had only one day off the weekend before and one day off the weekend after. Um, and then before that was the Mid Autumn Festival holiday, so that also was an extra work day. So for the past month, I've only really had one day off a week. So definitely as a little side hustle, that could be a lot of fun. Even just walking around and practicing my Chinese by going to these little Chinese factories where likely nobody at all is going to speak English. And I think that it gives me a lot of credibility to be able to go in and talk to the bosses without a translator, without needing a device, even if my Chinese is just mama hoo hoo, so. I think it adds a lot of credibility and shows not only my willingness to push further, but more of a respect for Chinese culture and Chinese business practices. So it's not a bad idea to look for a little side hustle. Yeah, 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 yeah. I the same on Amazon too. Even on Amazon, a lot of the products coming out of China, the instruction manuals are horrible. They really, really are. I wonder. I wonder if it would even be worth doing a little advertisement of that kind of nature on the Chinese social media platforms, on WeChat and Douyin, things like that, making little videos saying, "Hey, does your company sell products in North America or into English markets? Do you provide them with the English instruction manuals that maybe aren't as good as they could be? I can help." I feel like a car salesman again doing that, but that's not a terrible idea. That is not a terrible idea at all, and I may actually honestly look into that. That's yeah, that could be exciting. That could be fun. It's just a little side hustle, like you said, not taking over the full-time job or anything, but just a little weekend project. Make a little extra money on the side. I am looking for side hustles these days. It's never a bad idea for, I'm getting to the age where it's funny when I first came back to China and I started telling people, no, I don't work, I'm retired. Every Chinese man I said that to, whether they were older than me or younger than me, would look at me like I was insane, and they go, "No." I'd say, "No, I'm retired. I don't need to work anymore. Um, my expenses are okay." They'd be like, "No, you're a man and you're young, so therefore you must work." It's not an option. I think even if I was a multi-billionaire, if I was Elon Musk, these guys would look at me and go, "No, you got to work. That's what men do. Men of your age, they work." And it's like, well, I guess you're right. And then things sort of happened. But yeah, so side hustle. Side hustle. I'm not really into importing and exporting. I never have been. I don't know the proper way to find and exploit markets overseas. I don't have the connections for that after being in China for so long, but something like this, it's a very good idea, I must say. Juga, I like that a lot. When they just have pictures and no words whatsoever, that means they don't have a single person on staff that speaks even remote English, so they don't want to risk it and just use the online translators. Though Baidu translation has come a long way; it's gotten very good. But yeah, I can see that they might not want to do that. But yeah, damn, now you've got me thinking. Now you've got me thinking about. I should get myself a little. Nobody really uses them anymore, but I should get myself a little business card printed up so I can just go to these factories and have my WeChat logo on there and an explanation in Chinese of how I can help them to improve their English documentation. Very good idea. Damn. Well, you know, I'm absolutely thrilled that I decided to do this live stream today, because not only did I get to share some fun stuff with you guys, but yeah, I'm learning stuff too. But yes, I am. Yeah, well, yeah, Warren Buffett still works absolutely, and there are a lot of those people that they don't work for the money. They work for the love of their jobs, the love of working, and it's like that old saying: if you love what you do, or if you love your job, then it's not a job. If you love what you do, it's not a job. It's just what you like to do. So, um, like I said, I told my current employer, if he had tried to offer me a teaching job, teaching the employees English as a second language, whether they were adults or children, I would have said no. I wasn't interested after so many years of being an actual proper teacher for that type of teaching job. And he said, no, this is a job where you're going to be talking with highly technical people on both sides of the world and helping them to communicate, basically chatting, basically just talking with them about that. And when I found out it was a new energy product and very technical, very computerized electronics, things like that, that's when I said, okay. Um, it really is satisfying to me to learn this new technology and to do something else. But starting something on my own might be fun as well. And who knows, it could turn into a legitimate business. It could turn into something that after getting a few customers under my belt and getting some word of mouth, it could get big enough that I could open a little office somewhere doing exactly that, possibly even hiring people in the future that have strong technical backgrounds and also a strong understanding of Chinese language to be able to not act specifically as translators, but instead co-translators. That's what I used to do for Deloitte. Deloitte Touche Tomatsu, one of the top 4 accounting firms in the world. I was hired by them back in 2006 to work with their staff, partially to help improve their business English so that they could communicate more effectively with foreign customers, which they had a lot of, even in Shenzhen, but also to recheck documents that had been translated from from Chinese into English by Chinese translators, because it is a very, very tough language to translate back and forth, and just to polish the English to make it more understandable, to make it more professional for the customers. So I do have quite a bit of experience doing that, and yeah, there's definitely a need for it. So yeah, what a great idea. Well, if this all works out, maybe I'll have to buy a lunch sometime there, Mr. Juga. That would be a fantastic idea. I'm looking forward to exploring this further. And not only would I get a great sense of self-satisfaction, wouldn't it be fantastic if all the Temu and AliExpress users out there could actually understand what the instruction manuals for their products actually said? Wouldn't that be awesome? Wow, I'm going to have to write up a little business plan about that. That's very, very exciting. Very cool. Well, we've been going for about an hour and a half here. So far, I'm enjoying this. This live streaming thing is quite good. Does anybody out there who's watching have any other questions or any other things they'd like to share? I think at about the hour and a half point, I'm going to end the stream for today, at least for right now. My wife is a streamer also, but she streams on the Chinese social media, and she's very popular, of course, beautiful lady, etc. But yeah, she'll stream for like 7-8 hours at a time. Unfortunately, I don't have so much time today. I don't know if you guys heard it. There was a pinging noise just a short time ago. That is my laundry. As I only do have one day off this week, laundry is very important. Can't go to work stinky. And then I need to get some lunch into me, and then it'll be almost time to head off to the sauna. I also plan on doing some other live streams here as well. I'll hook up the old iPhone and do some live streams outside with a tripod so that we can I can show you some of the cooler type of aspects of living here in China. Yeah, not having competition is a good thing, and I think you're right. I just don't think there are a lot of people that are offering that kind of service here, but they should be, because there's millions and millions and millions of those type of manufacturers and products available that do require better instruction manuals. That's wow, that's such a great idea. Damn, I do really owe you dinner. Where are you anyway? Are you in Canada, or are you in China? Where yet? I can't remember if it was you in Toronto. Let me see here. No, it was WS in Toronto. Either way, if you ever make your way to Shenzhen, I'll buy a dinner sometime for the great idea. But thanks for hanging around. Thanks for chatting, everybody. This was a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to make this a regular thing. I think Sunday mornings here are a pretty good time to do this type of thing, because that will be Saturday evening-ish back in North America and the rest of the world. So thanks, everybody, for joining me. And once again, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. I got some great ideas today. I got some great questions, and I hope to see all of you, and maybe even more of you, in the next stream. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.